Mystery Man. One of the biggest mysteries, although it's not a mystery, but he wants to paint it as one, is Germaine Johnson. No sacks, one quarterback hit in the past 5 games. And we exercised his 5th-year option, so he's got $13 million coming in 26. But of course, the Achilles injury is a problem. And he acknowledges that, and he says, and yet it's interesting to note that he hasn't lost any explosiveness based on his get-off times. So now he's going to do more dirty journalism. He's going to cherry pick per next-gen stats, which is A, probably not accurate, and B, not contextualized. He's going to say that his get-off time is virtually the same as it was in 2023. Now, why is this dirty journalism? Because this assumes that get-off time is the only thing that's important for a defensive lineman. Now, is get-off time important? Yes. Is it the only thing that's important? No. There's lots of things that are important. In particular, power. If you lose your fastball, which is your bull rush, you have a hard time setting up any of your other moves as a D lineman. It seems to me that he's lost a little bit of power in that leg. Now, I think he'll get it back next year. It does take a year, they do say, with Achilles. He also doesn't include any medical information here from any experts, so that's another dirty journalism tactic where they leave out important information. One thing you could put in here, if you wanted to support Germaine Johnson, is you could put a quote from a doctor, a specialist in Achilles surgeries, say, who tells you, which he would, that, yeah, it takes a year. You can play on it the next year, but your effectiveness doesn't come back until the next year, generally speaking. You could put that in here if you were a real journalist. But, of course, Dick Chimney's not a real journalist. He has an agenda, and he has an agenda, and he has a blood vendetta against Aaron Glenn. And so attacking the defense is a good way to go around and sort of like, in hip-hop, they call it sub-diss, sort of sub-diss Aaron Glenn by going after defensive players, because the implication here is, well, wait a minute, Aaron Glenn's a defensive coach. How come Germaine Johnson isn't flourishing under defensive coach Glenn? So you see how it works. Dirty journalism at work all the time. And now it's going to be even worse with Dick Chimney because of the old Ask Rich situation. Once you do that, you are writing your name in blood, and this man's going to have a vendetta against you, which Chimney does now. So you got to be careful. That's why you should never really attack the media. If you're in Glenn's position, I can attack them all I want because I'm Frankie. Nobody gives a shit. But if you're the one at the podium, you should never attack the media. What you should do is just use the cliches. Always go to the cliches. Cliches are there for a reason. You should use them. Absent stars, running, hurry up. Oh, then he thinks he's a great journalist because he figured out the time that Hendon Hooker got a call, the date and time. Oh my goodness, this is incredible investigative journalism. Let's give a golf clap to Dick Chimney. He figured out that on December 17th, Hendon Hooker received a 7:30 a.m. call from the Jets inviting him for a workout. He packed quickly and made a 9:30 a.m. flight out of Charlotte, North Carolina, where he lives, to JFK. Wow! We called the player we wanted to work out, and that player came in and worked out. Oh my goodness, this is incredible investigative journalism. We need some more of this. How did we not know what happened? You're saying a guy showed up for a workout that we wanted to work out. He showed up and then we signed him. But we needed to know exactly when the phone call came in and where he was and how quickly he packed his bags. That's important information. Good job, Chimney. Here's $1 million check from ESPN, the home of the pedophiles. They're owned by Disney, in case you don't know. A car was waiting for him and took him to the hotel near the jet. Really? We picked him up from the airport. Wow. I could never have known this. unless we had the investigative journalism of Dick Chimney. I could not have known that we sent a car to the airport to pick him up. Oh my God. I would have thought he would have had to walk from the airport to the Jets facility and just, maybe get on a horse. Maybe, you know, find a horse like the old days. But these days, no, there's cars. Oh, okay. We sent a car for him. Okay. So this is the kind of stuff that we get to enjoy as from the beat reporters. We get to know 7:30 a.m. they called him. That's important. I mean, because if we called him at 8:30, that'd be terrible. But we called him at 7:30, so that was, you know, uh, something. Also important to know that he left out of Charlotte, North Carolina. That's important, like where he was at the moment, where he was living. That's important. Hey, so this is what we got going on. But I do give Dick Chimney some credit for writing a column. Good job, Dickie. Good job.